Welcome to Adults Only Comedy Berlin. Today we're in Melbourne and we're with Amna Bee.
Hi guys.
This is the second recording we've done together.
Yes, the first was in Berlin.
In Berlin.
This is in Melbourne, which is another form of Berlin.
Another form of Berlin. It really is. A lot of people say, like, since I've been doing my shows here, they're like, yeah, but Melbourne's really like Berlin, isn't it? And look.
You live there.
Yeah, I don't think it. I think it's got some similarities, yes. But then and this is what I was saying on stage to this person that said that. I was like, yes, but there is, and a friend of mine, do you know Milo Edwards?
I've heard of Milo. Yeah. Pretty sure I met them.
Yeah. I saw him post a clip of a show in, I think it was Brisbane, where he's just like, Australians, you don't admit it to yourselves, but you love rules. You love rules, and Australians love a rule. And so the huge difference, I think, between Melbourne and Berlin is just that, yeah, Melbourne is so set on a foundation of like overly restrictive rules. Of course, Germany's famous for loving rules, but like they bend the rules. Australia is very much about making rules and everyone follows them.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was here for the lockdowns.
And Melbourne, if people don't know, Melbourne has the world record.
Yeah, we had the world record of the longest lockdown in the world. Yeah.
I'm so glad I wasn't here.
Oh my God, it was a treat.
You survived it, and you started comedy before the lockdowns, or
I did some very little comedy. I started in Outback in Alice Springs, which is did a handful of gigs. And I'm like, I think I'm gonna move to, and then I was just traveling around Australia for a year, and again not gigging because there's no gigs in Cowtown, New South Wales. But then I moved to Melbourne specifically just before lockdowns for comedy.
And then the lockdowns hit.
It was great.
And then when was it that we met? Because you came to Berlin and you went to Prague and you went to some other places.
2022.
22.
Yeah, as soon as I could leave, I did.
Yeah, God, yeah. And then you've been back so you did that tour when we met, and then you've come back to...
I came back to Melbourne. Yeah. I did the adult thing, got a job, which I couldn't deal with, so I had to quit that.
Okay, well, you said you've got a history in corporate. Was it corporate again?
It was corporate, and I was like, okay, I actually cannot deal with it.
Yeah.
But
why do you feel like you can't deal with it? Is it the ethics of it, or is it, what is it?
It's just so stupid. I don't know. There's just not a lot of actual autonomous thinking or things you can do. It's very much about the bottom line and making money, and a lot of it is quite short-sighted thinking.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, if you were truly a visionary and driven by actual intelligence, you wouldn't do the things the way you're doing. But it's very much about
quick
getting
results,
things through the pipeline. And I'm like, that's kind of a problem with the society right now. Anyway, we're just very short-sighted. So it's an ethical dilemma.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, people say that it's about quality in their organizations, but very few organizations I would say, adhere to that philosophy.
Yeah.
A lot of it is about, let's just make money.
Yeah. I
quickly,
exactly. Let's make sure that, we make it on the reports and all the stock holders see it and the board and whatever.
Exactly. And the silly urgency to do things. I'm like, it's not that important to get things done that urgently. We're not saving lives.
Yeah.
So just that pretend urgency to drive people to the brink of mental insanity and burnout.
Yep.
Why?
Yeah.
I do stand-up comedy, so I don't know why, but at least this thing, it's just a bit more fun, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think with all of that, then there's often what comes along in corporate spaces is this kind of fake. They're aware of this pressure they're putting on everyone. So then there's this forced community building and value.
Trauma bonding.
Yeah, trauma bonding, but being like, but we value our community and doing all of this stuff. And the corporate sort of cultural, machine also starts like trying to take your free time as well. And it just feels very insincere. There's a lot of, it doesn't feel authentic at all. And I just, when I spend time in corporate spaces, I just wanted to I when I was in corporate spaces, that was when I did the most drug use in my free time.
Hey, me too. I was a total pothead in Toronto. That's the only way I could survive my corporate life.
Right?
Yeah. I'm like, wake and bake, and that's how you go to work, because it's like, how do you survive it?
Totally. Mine was
home and get stoned again.
Yeah, totally. I definitely started playing around with weed more, and I don't know, on my weekends would just be like, I needed to, mentally escape from all memory.
Out, yes.
Yeah, of everything. Mine was more kind of hectic because it was in my 20s, so I was like, drinking heavily. I'd take any drug that I could find, LSD.
Okay. I was just pot and alcohol.
Yeah, I was doing a little bit of weed back then.
10 cups of coffee a day.
Oh, yeah. Although that hasn't changed. I drink more tea now. Germany has saved me with, like, herbal teas.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, but I feel like you mentioned it before we started recording, and I think it's interesting to touch on the whole, like, moving from corporate, but then also there's this whole, like, in the comedy world, there is this the crazy sort of urgency and pressure
FOMO.
FOMO in what regard? Like missing out on doing mics or like stage time? Is it that?
It sounds silly, but it's like I'm missing out if I don't go to this event. If I'm missing out if I don't go mingle there. Even in festivals, it's like, oh, there's this place where all the artists hang out. I should just go party with them, even though I don't feel like it. But how will I meet with like the other people if I don't do that?
Yeah, on the opening night at the Melbourne Festival here, which started last week, I did go to the opening night because I was like, there are people that I know here that I like, and I do want to see them, but I was so exhausted after because I'm doing my solo and then my work in progress back to back. The first time I'd done it, I was so dead, and still kind of recovering from jet lag as well. I hadn't quite returned to my circadian rhythm or whatever, which is fucked anyway. Like I usually don't go to bed till 3 a.m. and I'm up at 11, but whatever. It's not fucked. It's just, it's the comedian way, I think.
Exactly.
And but I forced myself to go there, and I did see a few comics that I was very happy to see.
That's good.
And I was like, I saw, and so good little chats, and then it was like, all right, I think I did like 45 minutes exactly, and
that's
I was
respectable.
Out. Yeah, right.
It is,
right?
Yes, you put in the time.
I did. I got my free drink and they let me have an alcohol-free beer.
Was that at Max Watts?
Yeah, Max Watts.
It's actually a good place.
Oh yeah, it used to be the Hi-Fi bar, right? Like,
I don't know.
Yeah, it used to be like I've spent a lot of boozy moments of my life.
Okay, yeah.
In that space,
it's nostalgic.
Yeah, and kind of, I don't know. I really struggle. I'll talk about it a little bit about because you just went back to Pakistan.
My family lives there. So,
yeah. But I want to talk a little bit about the whole like returning to where you grew up in Pakistan, right?
Yeah, I grew up there.
How that feels returning there, but yeah. Before we do that, just the whole. So you're saying you've got FOMO around events in comedy?
A little bit, but I think it's also FOMO around. For example, there's a festival coming up. We're like, I don't have the energy to put on a show, but it's like, am I missing out on something if I'm not doing this festival? Am I missing out if I don't do this spot or that spot? And also FOMO in terms of, somebody else is getting the coveted spots. What am I not doing right to get that? And it's like, it's not even that I want those things deep down. It's just this automatic comparison thought that comes up sometimes. Yep.
I get that. And like you, I don't know if you want to talk, but like you went to Plum Village, like the Buddhist
I did.
Space in France.
No phone for 2 weeks.
No phone for 2 weeks, but also, okay, so have you read The Art of Power?
No, I haven't read The Art of Power.
Ooh, now that one I really like because I prefer the name in French because it's The Art of True Power, which I think is better because it sounds less like it could be connected to corporate. Because true power indicates that there's a lot of powers that are not the true powers, like true power being like this, inner peace,
the inner compass.
Yeah, and I read that I think at the start, I think it was the end of 2019, and that really helped me in comedy and not and being really conscious of who I compare, like how I compare myself, what kind of expectations I have on my new creative output, as well, and just like creative output, like the number of times people are like, so what's your writing process? And as soon as someone asks you that, you immediately feel like you're a failure, and whatever writing process you have is inadequate, and like and imposter syndrome is massive. Like you're immediately like, oh, how am I even an artist? I just do this,
I just do it. Yeah.
I just do it. And so I feel like it's the biggest conversation stopper, and it's also the biggest, like, feels very condescending, but like often to questions around how do you survive in certain situations in life. It goes back to Buddhism.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the only thing that will save you. Massive big fan of Buddhism.
Yeah, I credit Buddhist practice with still being alive. Like my first proper boyfriend in Berlin, who I was with for like a year and a half, 2 years, objectively quite a toxic relationship on some levels, but we were both toxic to each other, so it was okay in that regard. Like at least it was equal. But I still have a lot of love and respect for him, and he gave me what's the first book of Thich Nhat Hanh that I read? It's called No Death, No Fear. And that changed my life completely. And then following up to that was The Art of Power. And it allowed me to breathe and to get perspective, and really I think it was a really important foundation for stepping into a creative field.
And are you able to just go back to those teachings easily, or are there moments when you kind of spin in your stuff?
Oh, definitely. I spin it. Like I've recently, and it was with my partner. He really helped me get perspective on this. But with regards to social media content, like last year, I made a thing where I wanted to post minimum two clips every week. And I did that, and I fucking did it. And I built up a portfolio, which I'm quite happy about.
It takes a lot of discipline.
And it was hard, but I pushed myself and I did it, and I was happy doing it. But towards the end of the year, you get to a point where you post something and all you're seeing is losing followers. And it's just like, and the number of times you post something and you lose followers, and it's just like...
So you're posting and losing followers?
I would post and lose followers. And
so was achieving the opposite effect?
In the end, yes. So initially I was gaining some followers, and just getting good responses and enjoying creating the content. And then after about it was towards the end of the year, probably around November, probably only in the last sort of 5 months did I notice that I was never gaining followers by posting. And there's lots of theories around that, and I don't believe that the quality of my content had diminished, but one of the factors I think can be the quality of the footage quality and audio quality of other content creators, and those types of videos will get pushed more because it's a higher grade of if it's 4K, if it's better close-up angles, and if the sound quality is very good, the algorithms prefer those, and they're the ones that are going to go viral and do better.
Okay.
Now, this is what I've heard, and it does make sense. However, I just got to a point as well. The other element to it is more going, I've been doing this, yes, to build up my portfolio, but also with a genuine hope of virality.
Yeah.
And talking that out with my partner, it was like, that should not be a motivation, because that's so...
slim.
It's such a slim chance that
it's like trying to win the lottery.
Yes, exactly. It's and do I really, and what's the gain here? And I realized,
there's a lot of gains.
The gains can be good. Yes, you can go viral with one clip, and then you have 20K followers.
Yeah, then you can sell out multiple shows, and
to a point, depends where those followers.
It's just a financial gain.
It depends where those followers are.
It
doesn't always equate to ticket sales. If you're operating, for example, like I am in Europe, those followers really might be only in place, they could be so dispersed, and whether or not they actually equate to ticket sales, yes, they improve your credibility as a performer online, but to what how much physical, how much emotional stress am I going to go through for the possibility of that?
I don't know.
And so I decided, I started really feeling sad about when I would post something and just seeing, like, I think I had maybe, like, the last maybe 10 reels, I would lose followers as opposed to gain followers. And I was like, yeah. And to be honest, like, those followers, I don't want them. If they don't want to see my content, good to get rid of them. But it's still the fact that can affect your well-being, like, that can make you feel bad about yourself. Nah. And I've never used social media for any kind of social thing ever. It's as in, like, personal thing. It's a business thing, you know? It's always been business. So I've never engaged with social media in this, like, this is a way for me to get any kind of validation. It's like, this is just to build my business. And so having this thing actually start affecting my mental health, I was like, no. So now I only create content to advertise a specific thing.
Okay.
So it's like, hey, this show's coming up. I put a reel, and then I have an end page, which is the show that I'm advertising. Okay. And it works. And it works in Berlin, and that's how I use it. But for me, that's where the biggest, my biggest falling in a heap and needing to reassess everything and getting back into kind of some Buddhist practice mentality. Like, I've had to really consciously do that. So not easy. No.
Look, I always go back to Buddhist principles too, every day.
Yeah.
Have to.
Yeah.
But I was spinning in some stuff recently, and was getting to the point where I was getting a bit concerned about, like, just how much spinning was happening.
Yep.
And I'm aware that I'm spinning, and I'm like, I know what's happening, but my God, this is really hard to get out of.
Yeah.
But it all boiled down to just sheer physical and emotional exhaustion, because I went through some family stuff, and I'm like, being human it's a complex thing. We go through so many things, and then you have all these really sad things happen in your personal life, and then you're still meant to go out, like, you know, smash out your solo show, making people laugh. And I'm like, this cannot be healthy. At the same time, like, doing comedy while going through really hard personal times, I'm like, actually, it's such a great antidote. But I'm like, this cannot be the healthiest thing. Like, you have to look at it from an objective perspective, where it's maybe not all that great to use comedy to feel good about shit that's happening.
Yep, because it's also dependent on how the audience, like, if you have a bad show and you're in a bad place, that can be the worst.
I think I've become better. It's weird, because I've become better at being okay with, like, not great shows or the audience not responding. But now it was okay, whatever. I'll just say I was just getting impacted by other comics. I was like, wow, this hasn't happened to that level before. Now it had to, the negativity or the sadness or the pain had to come at me somehow. Because there was no space for it to come out. So, and because I've gotten used to bombing, as we call it, it's like, I'll find this other way. What's the other vulnerability that you have? Because it has to come at you. It has to come out, or you'll get sick or something. When I'm very healthy, right? Like, I stay strong. It's like, well, I have to make myself known. You cannot just suppress it. It has to come at you one way or the other.
Yep.
A lot of people get sick. They'll get physically sick. Right?
Yes, you see that a lot.
Yeah, people get sick, or something. People start getting migraines, or, like, they'll just get really sick. And I've been, like, working. I'm like, nope, putting fires out. It's like, okay, well, here's this other thing. Yeah,
it's going to come at you one way or another.
Exactly.
If you haven't, if you're going through a lot,
if you haven't processed it,
you haven't processed something.
It will come at you.
For sure. I've had something like that recently that was really, I had a really rough. Before coming here, I had a really rough couple of weeks. Like, health-wise, I was fine, but just some really difficult things in like personal life, with sort of reconciling a few things. Like, I'm like so much, and I think a big part of it is I'm in a very good place on a lot of levels, but that, like, so I'm able to connect with this emotional stuff that I haven't. It's like when when I've been single, and when I've been, like, less career stable, less financially stable, like, my psyche doesn't have a safe space to really connect with.
Yeah, of course, you're in a survival mode.
You're in survival mode, yeah. And now that I've got, I'm in a very supportive and healthy partnership, and my, all the other things are very stable and good. That I've been, it's like, oh no, and started kind of breaking apart, and I felt like I was really, I'm not sure where I stand right now. I'm going to go to a psychiatrist when I get back to Berlin, but I wasn't sure if I was just on the edge of like burnout or if there's something else that's sort of imbalanced, which I've kind of been wondering for a while, but I've sort of self-medicated with drugs for so long and now that I've stopped, all like I'll do the occasional psychedelic as a fun thing, but like I've stopped all regular drug use, that I think all of a sudden I'm starting to see something in me that like, oh, there's maybe. So that's been quite a lot to deal with. And so in some way or another, one way or another, it's gonna come. But also, other comics can often be you do comedy long enough, an audience not liking you might not affect you much.
They don't know you.
It might not affect you much, but how the comic who's on the lineup with you how they might make one little comment about your set afterwards. Oh, that can break you. Like it's that peer level lack of support when you feel like you're just a little bit sensitive. Yeah. Oof.
Or if you have different philosophy about comedy.
Definitely that too.
And then you see things happening that are very anti your philosophy, and then you're like, oh God, this is killing me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you wonder, like, who the fuck made anybody the gatekeeper of comedy, including yourself? Yeah. And you're like, it's not really my problem.
No. Well, it's all, and it's one of those, I think.
Ego.
And there's ego, there's, gatekeeping, definitely ego, or it's philosophy. And like, I know for example, I've been very clear with some newer comics, just being like, hey, I'm not giving you spots because I feel like your jokes all punch down at women and or at Israel, and like I'm not comfortable with either. Like if I see you do material that's not doing that, I'm super happy to have you on some shows, but like at this point I don't see any self-deprecation and you're only punching down. Yeah. And you don't have to be self-deprecating, but like you are hitting at other people, so why aren't you hitting at yourself instead, So I'm like, in terms of like, and I don't feel like that's gatekeeping. It's going, hey, you've got a different philosophy to me, and so you might need to find a different space to perform because this is how I create my space.
And that's totally fair. And I think if you have a reason behind why you're selective, I think it's okay.
Yeah, but there's also like in those moments where you feel you're confronting those other things. It's like, okay, I don't want to play at this club anymore, or I don't want to work with this producer anymore, and it's annoying. The longer you're in the scene, the more you see these doors close. But it's because you do need to look after your energy and what supports you.
Exactly. Yeah, I think you have to you're like, well, what's true for me? Yeah. Ultimately, and that applies to all facets of your life, including comedy. I can't just be like very disciplined in other areas and like, oh, whatever goes in comedy, because it's like it's incongruent, right? It doesn't make sense. So. Yeah. Unfortunately, you can only ever be yourself, even in comedy. That's the only way to survive.
Yes. Well, healthfully, I guess.
Healthfully, yeah.
Healthfully, yeah. Even though it's hard to say. Yeah. That's interesting. Now, but given that it's adults only, I do want to ask a few things to touch in with your dating life or how things are going.
Oh my God.
Love-wise.
I'm a very boring dating and sex life. I wish there was more happening, but I've just been hopping around so much. And then like I was with my family in Pakistan, like I'm not gonna.
No hot dates in Pakistan.
Other people are doing whatever they want. It's like I just can't I can't be fucked. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like I was watching cricket.
That's pretty hard.
Yeah. I mean, that was about the level of my enthusiasm I had with my aging parents and cricket. I'm like, I'm not feeling particularly horny to like go out hunting for people. It's a very conservative culture.
Yeah, I was going to say, what is it like?
I think if you're a young person, you're in school, like college or something, sure. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any relatives that are sort of your age or younger that like
to
you
date
were like...
my cousins?
No. I'm like, why don't you look into the family more?
People do.
People do. No, I meant more to relate on that level of dating.
My family's quite conservative, so it's not really like we're not going out and dating people. Also, like when I'm in Pakistan, I just actually want to spend time with my family. But even when I was traveling, I'm not going to give you a lot of excuses, Anna. The point is, I'm just like haven't really been feeling into it too much because I've just been tired and just trying to have to figure out a few things. Yeah, I find it very hard to just enjoy hookups and dating when I'm not totally sure where I'm going to be sleeping next week.
Yeah, no,
Some people can be like, I don't care, I'm just going to go have fun. I think I need a bit more stability in my life before I can do that.
Yeah. I totally respect that entirely. I haven't been doing any like my partnership is we're non-monogamous, but we communicate a lot, and we're not.
Yeah, you can't just be like, oh, I just feel like it without having a chat with a partner. I'll just do it. It's like you're gonna have to have a chat.
We talk, and but that said, it's not like we have to report back, but we do want to keep each other up to date with how we're feeling about stuff, but yeah, neither of us have really been feeling like it. Obviously, I'm away for 5 weeks right now, so it's like, yeah, stuff might happen, and that's totally fine.
If it happens, it happens. I am slightly wary of hooking up with other comics.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I don't.
So yeah, it's like, well, those are the people I hang out with most.
It is tricky, isn't it?
It's tricky because sometimes you have chemistry with some people, and I'm like, yeah, it's still not a good idea.
Yeah,
because it's your colleague.
We're gonna be around the same circles for the next however long. Like, it's really gonna be worth it.
Yeah, I'm waiting for a hot punter. I'm open to it. Definitely, it's just matter of opportunity. Yeah.
I hear you. I did always appreciate the dating apps for getting out of the comedy community.
Yes, it is good for that. Although I'll be honest with you, sometimes even on the apps, it's gotten a bit more annoying.
What, comedians popping up?
Comedians super liking. I'm like, dude, come on. It's just disturbing as fuck. Whoa, and also you're not funny. I think that's the most insulting part. I'm like, kind of funny comedian, actually. Like, that'd be great. It's always the ones I'm like, well, no.
That's so funny. I can't be with people I don't think are funny.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think... And then you find out who thinks you're funny, right?
I'm just going through the list of all the comedians I've been with. I'm like, yeah, does that hold? I'm like, yeah.
You have to. You can only date somebody you actually find attractive on that level as well.
Yeah.
Like the humor level.
Absolutely.
But like the last time I was on apps, like I connect with some nice people, but then people ask dumbass questions too.
Oh, hello, kitty cat.
The cat wants to be part of the podcast.
I like that. You just jumped right up on me. That's
Sophie.
Cute.
Hi, Sophie.
Hey, Sophie's got beautiful green blue eyes.
Yeah, she's gorgeous.
Oh my God.
She's a nice cat.
I wish I could be. So it's so funny. Your cat's sitting and you're also allergic to cats.
Her claws are...
That's okay. That was kind of fun. That's the most enjoyable.
That's the first sensation you felt.
A little bit from someone else.
Oh, thank God. Yeah.
No, it's I'm surviving all right without my partner, but it's the first time I've been away from, like, it's the first time I've come to Australia and actually been leaving something that's really healthy and like supportive and good.
And looking forward to going back to.
Oh my God, so looking forward to going back to.
That's so good.
But I always find coming to Australia quite existentially challenging. It's always
Tell me.
It's like I articulated it for the first time like this week to my mom, and she could not relate. I was like, when I come back to Melbourne, it often feels like I'm regressing. There's something like deep in my system that feels like regression. Okay, you can relate, because I was like, Mum, you left New Zealand. Like, tell me you don't feel the same when you go back to NZ by yourself without your partner, like, or even whatever. But like, you don't feel like it's regression. Oh no, I don't understand. I'm like, well, do you even like just not like I respect Melbourne. I think it's a great city, but I just don't want to be here, and I don't enjoy.
So you're asking your mom about when she goes to New Zealand, does she feel like she's regressed by going back to New Zealand?
Yeah. I was like, can't you relate? Because when you go back to New Zealand, it's like where you grew up, but you chose to leave, so you don't feel connected anymore.
Okay, that's what we're talking about. It's like the place you grew up and then left.
Yes.
So you could grow, and then when you go back.
It feels like regression.
So it's not about Australia specifically. It's about anywhere you grow up.
Exactly. This is not me shitting on Melbourne. It's just my, this is where I came from.
Place of origin.
Yeah.
Place of origin. So I grew up in Peshawar, which is actually very regressive place.
Okay.
And when I go back, I'm like, oh my God, of course not, right? Like, what's the life here? But like, there's other parts of Pakistan where I'm like, oh my God, I could do some really cool things in art. But not the place I grew up in.
Yeah.
But if I had grown up in some cooler city, I don't know. But because I'm from actually quite a progressive place, so I'm like, oh yeah, nothing but regression, right?
Whereas I've got the thing, whereas Melbourne's actually a very vibrant, artistic, exciting city, but I still feel like,
in some ways, you've gone back. Well, in Pakistan too, that's true. Like when I go back, I'm like, oh, there's parts of me that have I've discovered and that have evolved outside of here that are not with me here as much.
Yes,
because I'm back to some other parts of myself that I'm connecting with better now.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's a give and take.
Yeah, it is.
But don't you find yourself connecting with some other parts of you better when you're here?
Hey, kitty cat, stop fucking with my bag. No, it's okay.
No, I think I don't want her clawing your jacket, so I'll put it in.
Oh, okay, thank you. I wasn't sure it was my jacket or my bag, but it's all good.
Yeah, she loves kneading.
Yeah, that's okay. That's cute.
It's okay.
It's okay. You pretty thing. She's so beautiful. She's like the bewitched cat.
Yeah, she's very sweet.
I'm gonna need to maybe take a photo of her if the owners will allow that. Yeah, and maybe post it online. And we should do a selfie. But what I was gonna say, you were saying how
have you found yourself connecting with some parts of you better?
Yeah, I really I hit a real rock bottom. I think yesterday.
That's not what I was asking, but okay.
No. As in, by hitting the rock bottom, I made some very conscious decisions about my time here, because it's missing my partner, being back here, feeling very disconnected from everything and everyone, everywhere. Being back, so it's, and I was like, okay, how am I gonna use this time? And being present and being it's I can't resent being here, and I come here to see my family, but then I come here and I'm like, I don't want to be here. I just want to see my family, and then it's it's great that the festival's going well. I get to practice this, but I'm here and I prefer to be somewhere else. And it's this is such an unhealthy mentality. I need to figure this out. And so I made these very conscious decisions yesterday to be okay, I'm going to connect with the things I do love about Australia, and also spend a lot of time reflecting on this sort of feeling that I have around being here. And I think so being here, what I'm connecting with is more of it's not really connecting with a part of me, but more trying to connect with connecting with my roots, and trying to bond, get a greater affection for where I come from, and how this Australia is pretty crazy. My brothers just moved to Ballarat, and the outback, the land, and this is where I grew up.
I like how you call Ballarat the outback.
Well, it kind of is. There's lots of bush around there.
There's bush.
I'm not talking
Ballarat
city, but we went to a few little places outside, and it's the
Kyneton.
What was that?
Kyneton.
We went to Clunes.
Yeah.
There was a book fair. And there was a book fair. And just sort of going, wow, this place is so exotic, and this is where I'm from.
Yeah.
And sort of really acknowledging that, and trying to reintegrate that into my understanding of myself.
Yep.
And that's what I'm
kind
of doing.
I'll tell you something that I've been reflecting on.
Yeah, please.
As somebody who's considered ethnic outside of Pakistan, which by the way is a whole other thing to deal with. I'm oh yeah, I am a migrant ethnic person, and that's you have to take on that identity. And all your art becomes about that. So I saw a sketch comedy by Nat Harris, wonderful show, by the way, Lathered.
Okay. I think I've heard of this. Yeah.
So funny. I was in stitches.
Yeah.
I'm that's the art people in Pakistan make, because they don't have to do ethnic comedy.
Right.
That's the art I grew up watching, but done by Pakistan people about Pakistan. So she was mimicking the news anchors and the soap operas of the Western culture, but you see the same thing happen in Pakistan, but they're making fun of their own stuff, news anchors and pop culture and journalists, right? I'm oh right, that's the art I grew up watching, but now I have to do, hello, I'm an immigrant, or I'm a woman of color, and these are the terrible things that have happened, or the great things that have happened. And I'm it is so fucking boxed in one way, but I didn't grow up as an ethnic person. I just grew up as me in Pakistan.
Totally.
And I think I'm starting to feel a bit resentful of this whole other identity of an immigrant that I have to put on. But it is my identity here, whether I want it or not. It's is there a way to get out of it? because if I try and mimic a news anchor, like, oh, here's a brown lady mimicking a white anchor. You know what I mean? It's always going to be like that.
There's always
that
going to
thing. Because there's not enough brown people doing news anchoring and like TV and stuff, not to the point where it's considered mainstream.
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah, not yet. But it's like we're still at that point in time where I'm like, God damn it, I'm sure we're here like 200 years later.
And it's still a bit at the point in time where it's like, oh, it's a female comedian.
Oh my God.
It's still there. Like we're still,
that's
moving.
That's still in Pakistan.
But that's, yeah.
She's great. That one female comedian, I'm like, yeah, she's a genius. She's better than many others. But
yeah.
yes.
And the fact that she survived as well, like getting through the industry. But I don't know, like I know what you mean. Like in being a non-German in Germany or being like a non-European in Europe.
How do you navigate that?
I like it.
Like you take on the identity of like, I'm a foreigner to your culture.
Definitely. But you can, when it works for you, like I'll have sets where I don't mention anything about where I'm from.
Yeah, and those are fun, aren't they?
Yeah,
like I'm just a person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there are lots of situations where don't mention at all. People come up to me after the show being like, but where are you from?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I'm not like, it doesn't matter. But I'm like, they can enjoy the show without knowing that.
Exactly.
And they can relate to you, and you can talk about these universal human experiences without it being about where you're from or anything like that. So you sort of you use it as it gives you pleasure. You know, there are times where I really like to dig into being this Kiwi Australian, and like there was a Kiwi Australian show, like a special with just Kiwi Australian performers on in Berlin, and I hosted it. Guest hosted it, and afterwards I just felt this renewed, because not a single person in the audience was Kiwi or Australian. And I'd sort of really thought about all of my sort of somehow afterwards I felt so much more connected with my roots and felt good about it. Not proud or anything, but just like, that's where I'm, like, I am from this other fucking place.
Just own it.
Yes.
Just own it, yeah.
And like, not with this, for so long I carried a lot of shame, which...
I don't think you need to have pride or shame.
No, but I did carry shame for quite a while.
Yeah.
And
did you?
Yeah, I did.
Being
I did.
Aussie?
Yeah. Australians won't want to hear that, but yeah, I did.
Is it because of the Aboriginal trauma?
Absolutely.
Yeah. It is. I mean, I felt shame too, being here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I should be here, but here I am.
Yeah, well, yeah. But like historical stuff... Of course, and then modern day politics here as well.
Oh my God, what is up with that?
Yeah, so and then also how often Australians represent themselves in Europe. It's like we don't represent ourselves well.
Oh really?
Well, not all of them. There are some fantastic. There's so many fantastic Australians. I'm not saying Australian. Really not shitting on them, but Australians do have a reputation in Europe for being like the most horrible. Guests at hostels.
I thought it was English.
Well, they're really bad as well.
Okay.
Like every nationality can be really bad.
I thought it was English and Americans, but I guess Australians as well.
Yeah. Australians as well. And so, but more the politics. It was just like, and...
it's pretty bad, the Australian politics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the saddest, what's most troubling about it is that it seems like a lot of Australians don't even recognise that it's problematic.
I don't get that.
That's probably the most
why don't
people
recognize
thing.
it? Yeah, that is. Yeah, it's just like a blindfold.
Yeah. So, but I do. I found all these photos in this box that I left in Melbourne. I've been going through it, seeing what to take back to Berlin, and like. Man, we used to go bushwalking. Like I was always wearing Blunstons. Like just so much out like Aussie and Kiwi stuff is part of where I come from. And walking around Melbourne, I was like, oh, this place is so different from Europe, And so really starting to go, appreciate how kind of. Well, exotic's a dirty word, but it's quite an exotic place to come from.
Australia is very exotic. Yeah. It is. That's why I like them. Like, oh, it's so exotic and rustic.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, what a quaint country.
Right.
Yeah. It's special.
It is special.
Yeah.
It is special.
There's nothing like it.
No, absolutely not. It's and I love it. And
I think if you can delight in what makes Australia unique and special,
Yes.
you can have a good time.
Exactly. And that's really part of, the process I'm undergoing in being here. Yeah.
Yes, I'm also trying to do the same thing, even though I'm not from here, but I'm like, I should just acknowledge how quirky Australia is and maybe enjoy those parts of it instead of being missing somewhere else.
Yep. So where do you want to end up? Like little unless you don't want to talk about it, which is totally fine as well, but do you have like a bit of a plan where you want to take yourself?
I think just because my parents are aging and I have like other family members aging as well, I'd like to be closer to Pakistan. I just don't know how.
Yeah.
So Europe makes sense just because it's a shorter flight.
Turkey, do you have any good visa relations with Turkey?
I'm not sure. Isn't it part of Europe?
Yeah, maybe. I should know this, shouldn't I?
I think anywhere in Europe, because that's the thing. I have Australian and Canadian citizenships, but they don't count towards EU or UK in any way.
No, they don't.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're like, oh, good for you, but however, fuck off, right? It's they don't care.
Yeah, they don't care.
So if I don't know, I might still just go live in Europe for a few months just to gig and have a good time, because I can definitely do that.
Yeah. Will you do Edinburgh this year?
No, I'm not going to do it this year. I'm so tired from Edinburgh, Perth, Adelaide, and now Melbourne. That I'm just going to find a bit of stability.
I really respect that. Yes.
Yeah, and then, because to do Edinburgh from Australia is very expensive.
Oh, dude, I can't. Yeah. Like, it's me doing this is quite expensive.
But you have family here to kind of like balance it out.
Absolutely. Like,
it makes it worth your while.
Yes. Well, this year I'm actually, this year makes sense. It's
Are
making
you staying
money.
With your family?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, great. Accommodation sorted.
Exactly. When I was in Adelaide last year, however, I had to pay for accommodation, and so that meant that I did run at a loss.
Oh, Adelaide, you'll break even if you're lucky. It's just an expensive festival.
Yeah, it's cute. And I did have a good time last year, but I just couldn't justify it when I could spend all my time in Australia with my family.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's my problem too. It's like when I go to Pakistan, I know I can do some creative things in Karachi or Lahore, but then I'm like, but I'd rather spend time with family.
Absolutely.
That's just how it is, yeah.
Yeah, family is so important. And so I am lucky that they're in a place where I can perform comedy quite nicely. And
while visiting family, and that's great.
Yeah. So but okay. Well then, a nice break. Yeah, I'll be doing Edinburgh again this year.
Oh, lovely!
And excited to do the full run. Yeah, free fringe, doing both.
PBH or
through Laughing Horse.
Okay.
And doing both. The same that I'm doing here for the Melbourne Festival, doing both my solo and my work in progress back to back.
That's so cool.
So this is kind of the trial run to see how my energy handles it, and
you're liking it.
I'm liking it. It is hardcore though, doing two solos back
I don't
to back.
know, like you only have half hour gap between them.
And usually the people for the early show are arriving late, and the people for the late show are arriving on time. So I get like 10 minutes between.
Oh.
To really like.
How do you
down.
like switch gears?
You just don't. You just stay in like third. you go down a little bit just to like, and then bring it back up.
Wow.
Yeah, but I have to like train myself to do multiple shows back to back. Like at one point,
how do you do that? Because you do so many gigs in Berlin. Like
I run a lot of shows.
You run a lot of shows.
Yeah, and
how
host
do you even
them.
Run them? How do you run? I run one room a month.
Yeah, it's easier if you do them more regularly, but at the moment I run 4 shows a week, and I'm still producing them whilst I'm here.
And you've got people there like running it for
that are hosting, but I sort of do all of the admin stuff.
Are any of them ticketed or are they just free?
They're all free entry.
I think that would help, right?
Yes.
Because if you have to sell tickets to them, that'd be a nightmare.
Yes, and also the donation culture in Berlin is very good. Like when I run a show, it's seldom does anyone not donate or donate less than the €10 requested.
Oh, amazing!
So it is pretty. The culture is pretty like it's well educated and respectful.
Not like that here. Either free or ticketed, and it's. I think some people are trying to bring the donation model in here.
Yeah,
I'm not sure how well it's working. It's not a tipping culture. We don't give people money.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like tipping is a thing here, but as in for food and stuff and service, but...
Is it a thing here?
Yeah.
In Melbourne?
Yeah.
I've never tipped anyone here.
That's just you then.
You tip people, that's so nice.
Oh, yeah. Like, the thing is, I worked in hospitality here for like 20 years. So
you gotta tip people.
You gotta tip people, yeah.
I thought the whole point of coming to Australia was so I could stop tipping.
No. I even, do you know of the restaurant? This is like my biggest flex. It was when I was working corporate and I had money, but I took my brother to like the number one restaurant in the world, or at least in Australia, Vue de Monde.
Okay, where is it?
It's in it used to be in the Rialto at the very top floor.
Okay.
But yeah, the bill was $600 and I tipped 10%.
What is 10% of 600?
60.
Yeah, that's okay. $600. You can.
Exactly, but like,
60.
but I'm saying like, you know, like you tip a minimum 10, and that was 10 years ago. So definitely,
that's very good of you.
But like that is the tipping culture, like that.
What about the 20% tips that are expected on takeaway coffee in Canada? What do you think of that?
How much is a coffee in Canada?
It can be $6.
$6.
Yeah, and then you have to pay 20% just because they exist.
It'll be like $7.50, $7.20. Really?
You just stop eating out. You're like,
totally. I don't know.
By coffee, I mean a latte. Like the black coffee, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, I think I am happy to tip. 20% is quite steep. I'm happy to tip,
it's
like...
become the standard in North America now.
Yeah. That had been for a little while, I heard, but...
So what do you tip on? Do you tip on coffee?
I will... If it's a good interaction, yes. Absolutely, I'll tip.
They don't even have a tip button on FPOS here, so how do you tip?
Usually they have the option.
Okay, so when you see the option, you'll do it.
Yeah. But if they don't give the option, you're innocent. But if there's the option, they usually have like a 5%, 10%, 20%. I saw that recently at a restaurant I was at.
Okay, I will try to be a better person.
Nah, fuck it. Don't worry about it. When you're employed.
Well, I should stop drinking expensive coffee then if I'm not employed.
Nah, fuck that.
Yeah, you gotta have your little luxuries. I'm not doing anything else.
Yeah, you got to.
I'm not buying drugs.
Exactly. And me neither. So I am enjoying
sobriety.
Whatever food or whatever coffees I want. Yeah, I'm enjoying sobriety.
Are you enjoying the food in Australia again? Because how do you compare the food in Melbourne to food in Berlin?
Oh, dude, Melbourne is a cuisine capital. It's like a high cuisine capital of the world, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's so good.
Such good food.
I can't, the thing that I miss the most from Melbourne is the Chinese food. Like good, like different regional
What's your favorite
Chinese food
here?
I usually just, everything's changed quite a bit, but there used to be like a hand-pulled noodle restaurant on Swanston Street, but like just super, and I used to be a vegetarian too. So what I eat now is anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I used to, like, my go-tos were places that had vegetarian like pure
food,
vegetarian. So it's all a bit different now. But, yeah, would usually cruise around Chinatown. But, yeah, there's a place on Swanston Street that I loved. But also my brother lived out near Box Hill. And there's, like...
Oh, there's such good food there.
Legit good, like, Chinese Asian restaurants. Food, yeah, really, like... really crazy shit, you know, like, I love that stuff. And you just don't get that in Berlin. So I need to that's part of my, that's on my list of things I need to engage with.
Eat as much Asian food as you can.
Yes.
Because Australia has very good Asian food.
Yeah. And like Germany really has a lot of Vietnamese, which is good. And a lot of like sushi, but really good Chinese and really good Thai. And really good like Taiwanese and all the other, you know, different and Korean. Actually, Germany has quite a bit of Korean surprisingly, but really only just like chicken.
But not the Chinese food.
Yeah, but it's the Chinese, you know? That's what I mean. Like, it's like so different.
I don't know what I could eat. I'm vegan. So it all just blends into just one thing.
They do have like some good vegan broths and the pulled noodles with tofu and vegetables and stuff.
Maybe I will look into pulled noodles.
And with hardcore like chili and peanut oil. And,
that sounds good.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And then like garlicky greens, you know, like a big plate.
Oh, I love that. Oh, yeah. I love smashed cucumber with garlic.
Oh.
How good is that?
And then also black fungus. Do you like black fungus?
Black fungus,
oh my God.
Okay. There's some good stuff.
I'm getting really hungry. We probably need to wrap up soon, right?
Yeah, I think so.
You got a show to go to. Yeah. But plug your show and then we'll do a little reel as well.
So I am running an all-women lineup show called Raise the Bra. and it's an offshoot of our monthly comedy show called Raise the Bar Comedies. We have like 2 more nights left on April 4th, 5th, and 6th at Queen Victoria Women's Center. 9 p.m. and every night is a different theme and different comics, so you'll never see the same show twice, and we've had some really good reviews come in already, so do it.
Fantastic. All right. And then if you're in Melbourne, come see my shows, Cream Pie Curious and Cream Pie Clarity, back to back at Fosse's Distillery, Lygon Street. All right. So this has been Adults Only Comedy Berlin in Melbourne. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Hannah.
Thank you.
So nice to be here.
Goodbye.